That gut feeling. Now, that's something that people know about. That's their body giving them information. Your body is always giving you information. Your job is to tap in and figure out what it's telling you.
I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of the Love Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage. Namaste. Have you ever felt like your body was trying to tell you something important, but you couldn't quite figure out the message? Well, today's guest is going to reveal how you can actually unlock your body's hidden wisdom through powerful somatic healing techniques that can transform both your personal life and business decisions. But first of all, I want to welcome all of you to Live, Love, Engage, especially if this is your first time. And I am Gloria Grace. I help female entrepreneurs attract ideal clients by going beyond traditional search engine optimization techniques to embrace my definition of SEO, spiritually engaging others. And I'm really looking forward to our interview today because I am bringing on in just a moment Marbeth Dunn. She is a master energy intuitive and empath who transformed her life with somatic healing to conquer personal abuse and trauma. She's also a certified Kundalini yoga instructor, Reiki master, and practitioner of matrix energetics. So I'm just loving all of the things that this lady is up to in the world. So without further ado, let me bring her up here and welcome you officially to Live, Love, Engage, Marbeth.
Well, I'm so grateful to be here with you, especially being grateful the day before Thanksgiving.
That's true. Yes. We are recording this the day before Thanksgiving, and it's been, gratitude's been on my mind a lot this past couple of weeks for sure. So I still can't believe it's the end of the month and that December is like Sunday. It's like, what happened to the year?
Where did it go?
I know. It goes by so fast now. But all right. Anyway, let's get to it. Come on. People are here. They want to know about somatic healing. And so I thought, let's start with that. If you can explain to our audience, what exactly is somatic healing?
Well, the word somatic, it references your body. And we talk about the body-mind connection and how we need to be aligned with our body and mind. Well, that is somatic healing in a nutshell. Basically, our bodies hold all of our traumas. They hold all of our old pains, all of the issues that we really haven't dealt with. They kind of reside in your body. And your body loves you so much. Your body is your partner, and it really wants to help you. So it will send you messages, which may be like a pain in the neck when somebody who really annoys you is around, or you might feel a stabbing pain in your back when you're feeling betrayed, or just those stress knots in your shoulders or in your solar plexus when you're feeling stressed and your body is saying, hey, listen to me. You got to address this. We want to keep you healthy. So that's basically what I feel that somatic healing is.
Yeah. And I can relate to that so much because I have definitely learned to pay attention more to my body when it is signaling those things. And in particular, I remember I had, after my sister passed, I was having a lot of back issues. And it was just like, it really got to be quite frustrating. And I've had issues with the back in the past where I've like, bent some way, but it was just, no, it was just this pain. And I had to finally, I went to someone who was able to help me release that. But I have a feeling probably if I'd maybe knew you back then, you might have been able to help me in a different way, perhaps. So
Sure. Our back
yes.
issues are very often about support.
Mm.
Maybe you're feeling like a loss of support. Maybe your sister
Oh
was
yeah.
very supportive.
Big time. Absolutely. Yeah. I used to call her my cheerleader because she would always be the one who would encourage me in my business. And without her, I was feeling quite lost for quite a while. So
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. How else do our bodies communicate with us? Because I can get that with the pains and certainly, but are there any other ways that we have that, body knocking on our door and saying, "Hey, pay attention to me"?
Yeah, well, I was just reminded years ago, I was invited to speak on a law of attraction cruise. I had
Mm.
a radio show on the Law of Attraction Network. And so I was speaking on this cruise. And I work for myself. I don't work for someone else. I'm an entrepreneur. So in order to go on the cruise, I really did not have to record a lot of episodes before I left. I didn't have to record any because I could just, set up some replays for while I was gone. I did not have to write a blog, but I was just a workaholic and I insisted that I had to record all the episodes for while I was away. And I had to write all these blogs for while I was away. And I kept feeling this pressure building in my chest, but I wasn't paying any attention to it because I was pushing forward. Well, do you know, I stood up one day after working too many hours. I stood up and I stepped on a plug, the kind of plug that goes into the wall. And I heard a pop in my foot. Well, I spoke on the Law of Attraction cruise from a wheelchair.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh dear.
And my body was trying so hard to get my attention. Like, you don't have to do this. What are you doing? In
Mm.
retrospect, it's actually funny. But at the time,
Yeah, it was
how
not.
ironic.
Absolutely. And I think, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard also that a lot of times when we, come down with a cold or something, it's really our body's way of saying, "Hey, take a break. You're doing too much."
Well,
What do you think about
not
that?
necessarily that.
Mm.
When I was recently in Las Vegas with my family, we were all in an Airbnb together, and the night before we were all going to leave, I woke up at 3 in the morning and I had this pain in my chest, like I was coming down with a cold. So I knew what to do. I started communicating with my body and I used muscle testing and I just basically said to my body, I'm coming down physically with a cold. Nope. I'm feeling emotional issues coming up. Yes. So basically, the sadness and the grief from leaving my family, just feeling that sadness of separation was right there in my chest.
Wow.
And when I understood what was happening, I knew how to release it. And the next morning, we were all feeling that sadness. We were
Mm.
all feeling that sadness of separation, but it doesn't mean we have to get sick,
Mm.
and I found also, I lost a boyfriend. He died suddenly a
Mm.
long time ago. And I immediately started coming down with bronchitis because that's where our chests hold our
Um,
grief and our
mm.
sadness. You may
Mm.
also find that your throat can feel congested, and those are emotions that get stuck in your throat. So the key here is to be able to communicate with the body. And I find, an easy way to do that is using a pendulum or muscle testing. And, they're not difficult techniques. Be happy to share with you, how to do it. But they're really helpful when you don't understand what your body's trying to tell you.
Yeah, definitely, because it can be confusing sometimes, and you may think but yeah. So, well, I tell you what, let's go. Can you do maybe a short example of what muscle testing is, and maybe also describe it? I don't know if you can do that on here, because
I
I know
could do
normally I
that.
know people will do like your arm and things
No,
like
I
that,
use
but
a different kind of muscle testing. I loop my fingers together, my
mm,
thumb and forefinger together. And if I would say like my name is Marbeth and I held my fingers, it would hold. But if I said that my name is Grace, they pull apart.
mm,
So I use the muscle testing by saying a statement, and I would test it by using the name, using a fake name for yourself or a real name for yourself and seeing how that works. You have to practice it. And another thing that I used many years ago is a pendulum. With this one, I just happened to have a ring on a chain. And so, you can ask it, show me a yes. And I'm not moving this myself, but it will start showing me a yes by spinning in a clockwise circle. And then I could just say, well, show me a no. And again, it goes sideways. That would be a no.
yeah.
And I don't know would be this counterclockwise. And I don't want to answer. See, I'm not moving this, it's
Mm,
moving itself, would be like back and forth,
yeah.
which it's not doing at the moment. But anyway, there are ways of communicating with your subconscious
Mm,
and that's actually our bodies, because say that you have a trauma and it's too big for you to handle. Maybe you were a child when it happened, and you had a really traumatic experience, and so you weren't able to handle it. You shoved it down in your body, and it might not appear again for decades. But when it does,
yes.
it's your body saying, "Okay, it's time now.
Mm,
Let's get this out of your system."
yeah. And the pendulum is really interesting, because I was very skeptical of it the first time I saw someone do it, but now that I've been able to do it myself, and it's like, yeah, I'm really not moving it. It is definitely,
It moves
it's coming
itself.
through. Yeah.
And when I learned the pendulum, I was living in Haiti. I lived on a mountaintop in Haiti for 7 years. And then I've actually lived in Haiti for 17 years, but the first 7 years was on a mountaintop without electricity or city water. And I was a mess. I had severe asthma, which got really bad in Haiti. And I had a very abusive, difficult marriage. So and I really had come from a difficult background from when I was a very young child with an abusive father. So, here I didn't know what was going on with me. I had no clue. And I read a book about the pendulum and I started using the pendulum, and I was able to connect with my subconscious, and I learned things about myself that really shocked me. I didn't know, like, oh, this is bothering me and this is upsetting me. And what's nice with the pendulum is that you have the option for safety reasons of I don't want to answer. You don't
Mm,
ever want to force either the muscle testing or the
mm,
pendulum. If you're getting, like the sense that you need to back off, do it. Don't ever push,
mm,
because it can really mess you up, as it messed me up because I had that severe asthma. I would have like an exacerbated asthma attack that could go on for days if I pushed too hard because
ooh,
it wasn't safe. So
yeah.
safety is always the key with dealing, trying to investigate on your own.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because that's when you need to work with some professionals, because there are sometimes people have really deep-seated traumas that they have forced down so far that they don't remember them, and
And it's
consciously, but
and it's
it
not
is.
safe for them to bring it
Yeah,
up
right.
yet. So
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. Your body loves you so much, it will always try to protect you.
Mm, yeah.
And, but if it doesn't feel like that's safe for you, then, all hell can break loose.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. right now. So, you mentioned that, I mean, certainly the muscle testing and that is helpful to get at what's going on. But now that we know what's going on, how do we treat that then?
Oh, well, there's so many ways, to treat it. One is just very, very easy, but not simple, but not always easy, where you would just sit with the emotion that you're feeling. Like if you're feeling that pain in your chest that you've identified as grief, and you just sit with the feeling, and just breathe into it and just allow it to be, and it will dissipate. Basically, I've discovered that our emotions want to be recognized and acknowledged. And when we do, and it may take a little while, they will dissipate like clouds. So that is one way of dealing with it. Another way might be to use meridian tapping, which is another methodology. There are a lot of different somatic healing techniques. You might be feeling a lot of stress or anxiety, which is another way that your body is communicating with you. And there are ways of dealing with that as well. The key is always to safety first. And
Yeah, I think that's so important. I'm glad you stressed that, and I'm sure you've got your book behind you that says somatic healing. So I imagine there's lots of tips and techniques in there as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
very
very
good.
personal. It's
Yeah.
not quite out yet, but it will be in
Okay.
the new
Well,
year.
something to look forward to. Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're going to take just a quick break for a second because I want to just let you all know about something that I've found that has helped me, and then we'll be right back with Marbeth in just a second. So, um, I've got a free gift for you, actually. So, if you have ever felt like you've lost touch with your inner voice, I have created a free meditation that uses a tool that I love called light language, which is a technique that when you listen to it, it really helps to uh, kind of allow you to tap back into your natural intuition. And so just a few minutes, it is a very short meditation, but it'll help you to start feeling more connected to your inner compass. And the more you listen to it, it should help you to get some clarity that you've been looking for. So if you would like to try it, you can go to GloriaRand.com/free meditation. And of course, I will have that in the show notes as well as in the YouTube replay as well. But I encourage you to check it out, and see, hey, you got nothing to lose, but maybe some stress and maybe some, feelings of not being connected. And now you can start to be more connected. So, all right, commercial's over. I'm going to go ahead and bring Marbeth back in. So, I'd like to ask you a little bit more about really, because you mentioned, being in Haiti and going through all this. So how did you actually come across somatic healing, and how did that really happen for you?
What's really interesting is I did not know what somatic healing was until I began writing my book.
Oh,
I
that's interesting.
When I
Okay.
started writing the book, I realized, oh, that's what I do. So, yeah, that was interesting. I chose a topic that I really didn't know very much about, but it turns out that the topic chose me because I am a somatic healer. I am an empath and an intuitive. And I very interesting about about 13, 14 years ago, I was on a strategy call. I'm in Florida, and I was on a strategy call with a man in Germany, and we'll call him France. And I don't remember what his name was. And when I was talking with him as an empath, I feel in my body where other people are holding their issues in their bodies. So, but I didn't really recognize that was a healing modality. It just was something that I noticed that happened, which wasn't always a good thing. But here I am on this strategy call, and I'm feeling this real heaviness and pain in my chest. So I just wrote down on a notepad, oh, he's, pain and grief. And then immediately that pain and grief disappeared. And then I'm feeling knots in my solar plexus. So I wrote down that he was experiencing power issues in a relationship. And then that disappeared. And I'm feeling a stabbing under my left scapula. So I realized that he was having betrayal issues. So I wrote it down. And then that disappeared. And then I was feeling a lot of emotions in my throat, which unexpressed emotions, wrote it down. So basically, then I felt a lot of anger down in my root chakra, at the base of my spine and forward under the torso. So I was feeling like all of these different things. And when I wrote it down, I had like a computer printout of everything that was going on with him in his life. And so I, silently asked his body, because the body was communicating with me, how would you like me to proceed? And his body told me. So I said to him, I'm an energy healer. Would it be okay if I did a little work with you right now? And he said, okay. It was just a strategy call. He wasn't paying for it. And he didn't care. And then I was guided from his body was guiding me to, through this healing. And then I just felt everything go click, 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 click. And suddenly this man was clear and I was blown away because this had never happened before. But that's basically my system for energy healing.
That's amazing. Now, how did he react afterwards? Did he say anything? Did you ever hear back from him?
I never heard back from him.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
But and the interesting thing was, how everything went click, 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 click. That doesn't normally happen. But basically what I realized afterwards was that I had been given this gift that I could use my I guess God-given gifts as an empath and an intuitive to basically be able to help people. And I'm just so grateful for that.
Yeah, I love that when the universe does give us gifts like that. So I like that the message was really for you to understand, not necessarily for him. That's so cool. Yeah. Are there any commonly held beliefs about somatic healing, maybe that you disagree with? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, so many times people will say, well, that's all in your head. Basically saying, well, that's psychosomatic. But so that's one that a lot of people think they don't recognize that there is an alignment, that we're partners. Our body's our partner. And as I said before, our bodies love us very much. And when we and also, so many times people who have experienced traumas are not able to even experience their bodies because it's just doesn't feel safe. So they might be like all up in their heads, or they might actually not even be in their body. They might just be, somewhere out there because the whole aspect of being in a physical space doesn't feel safe to them. So, I think, just the fact that, people would say, well, it's all in your head, and I think it's really important that any modality that you use for healing incorporates the body as well as the mind, because otherwise you're really missing out on a very loving partner who has a lot of the answers.
Absolutely. And in a way, it's like I want to tell people it's all in your head. Well, yes, and your head is connected to your body, isn't it? So think about it from that angle, that it is something it's trying to communicate with you. So yeah, it's interesting. Can someone who's trying to do, let's say, even like muscle testing or just trying to do some of this work, is there any way that they can try to execute it and get it wrong?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, I would say yes. So for muscle testing, you don't want to lead the dialogue. You want to basically be in a receptive mode, and you don't want to ask questions. You want to make yes or no statements. So with muscle testing, it's either going to be a yes or a no. With a pendulum, you have that built-in, I don't want to answer, for your safety. But, with the muscle testing, yeah, you definitely do not want to ask a question. And you also always want to, basically offer your body, a couple of different suggestions, rather than maybe make things too black and white. There are nuances very often that it would pay to explore, if that makes sense.
Can you give an example of that? I'm curious.
Yeah. So rather than, you get into the basic, okay, my name is Marbeth, I'm getting a yes for that. And I could say, oh, that pain in my chest that I've been experiencing is physical in origin. And my body might say yes, or it would say no. It could be, like emotional, it could be energetic. So I want to basically pursue that, So if I get a no, then I would ask, would it be emotional? And then I could, just get into the nuances of that. Is it because I don't want to ask, it's because of this, it's because of this, it's because of this. And I will get the yes or no answers. So I think the nuance is in being very careful how you ask it, because it's going to be black or white. It's not going to be gray when you're doing muscle testing.
I appreciate that, number one, for sure. And what else should people know about communicating with our bodies? What else is, maybe even why else is it important?
That's a very good answer. Question. Hopefully I'll have a good answer.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. So it is important to communicate with the body because it's got so much knowledge, like, for example, like your body, like my body has other senses that have been activated. For example, my body will warn me in advance of going to places, which is, I think, called clairsentience. And it will tell me, I used to live in a condo, and when I walk into the hallway, suddenly my body might just go, my lungs would just contract, and I would have to, it took me a while to figure out, because we don't come with a guidebook, like what was going on there. Does it have to do with this has to do with where I'm going. So I'm not asking a question. This has to do with where I'm going. I'm getting a yes. Okay. So it's safe for me to go there? No. So then I have to, check it out. Do I need to clear this place energetically before I go? Do I need to protect myself as an empath before I need to protect myself as an empath before I go? So I would, then I would have to, like, put myself in a disco ball, just to protect myself energetically. And then I would be okay to go. But it's interesting, because when we tap into the body, there's a lot that we can learn that we may not have been aware of. Like, I didn't know that I was clairsentient, but my body taught me.
That's such a wonderful gift when that happens. And I think one lesson I'd like to have people take away from this is that to be open, and to really be open to receive, number one, starting with messages from the body, and to explore them as you've been talking about here today, because I think it's a really great way to start finding out what is your body trying to tell you, and be open to learn that. Because, as I don't know about you, but I know for me, as I've really leaned into listening more and more to my intuition, paying attention to it, synchronicities start happening, and I'll get signs and things like that, and it's led to me developing more of my intuitive gifts as well. So what do you think about that? I think that it is, like, important that, especially if you're really,
Of course,
drawn to, growing as a human being. I'll say that, not necessarily even on a spiritual journey, but just to continue growing as a human.
Absolutely. Well, your body lets you know. For example, you walk into a room at a party and you're feeling such good vibes. You're feeling the energy there. Where is that showing up? It's showing up in your body, right? And you might feel expanded, you might feel happy. On the other hand, you walk down a dark alley and the hackles on the back of your neck and your hairs on your arm are like rising up. Your body's warning you, okay, there is danger here. So your body will always, it will also tell you intuitively, that gut feeling. Now, that's something that people know about. That's their body giving them information. Your body is always giving you information. Your job is to tap in and figure out what it's telling you.
Absolutely. Why do you think we're so often so easily dismissive of that? Is it just the kind of the culture we're living in, where it's like,
Yeah.
we've got a pain, I need to go see the doctor and get a pill or something? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Before, if I had a pain in my back, before I would go see a doctor about it, I would basically communicate, with the pain. What are you, you're here, okay?
Yeah.
You're representing something, is it, what I'm feeling is emotional, what I'm feeling is physical, what I'm feeling is energetic, because that's a whole other aspect of ourselves. So, the body will always communicate with you, and it's so interesting. It's just this, it's like going down a rabbit hole. There's just always so much more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I say absolutely a lot. I was trying to catch myself before I did it, but it's true. And I know I have started to say, like, if I wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, I'm stiff. What are you trying to tell me today? What's going on with that?
Oh,
So
and then if you ask it a question,
yeah,
just like, okay, like, what are you trying to tell me? The answer may just pop right into your head.
yeah, that's true. Yes. That's a really great thing when that happens. So it's like, okay,
Yes.
good. Now I can deal with that. We're getting close to wrapping up, but I want to ask you a couple more questions. One is, what are you curious about right now?
Mm, what am I curious about? I'm curious about what this new year is going to bring.
Mm.
I'm seeing a lot of good things happening, and I'm curious about it. I'm curious about other people, and I'm curious about ideas. So we'll see what happens.
I'm with you. Yeah, I've been feeling very optimistic and excited about next year as well. So
Me too.
I'm loving that feeling, and I want it to continue. So I'm setting that intention. Is there anything else that I should have asked you that I didn't? Any other last point you want to make?
Oh, I'm sure I'll think of it after we're off the interview.
That happens to me too. So it's all good. I think we have handled and covered a lot of stuff. And especially now, I'm going to do the muscle testing now myself, because I have been practicing with that a little bit, and so I
And I
want to
also
do that some
realized,
more.
Grace, that a lot of the podcasts are going to be audible rather than visual.
Mm,
So I just wanted to explain the muscle testing one more time, where you would
yes.
loop your forefinger and your thumb together, and then loop the other forefinger and thumb over those. So they are interlooped, they're interlocked together. So on the visual, you could see my thumbs, and forefingers locked together. But, if you can't understand that, from an audible podcast, just play around with it.
Mm, absolutely. And I'm sure they could probably even contact you.
Of
So
course.
what is the best place for people to reach out to you?
You can reach out on my website, marbethdunn.com. You can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm Marbeth Dunn. You can reach out to me there. And also, I'm on Instagram. So, yeah, and LinkedIn.
Very good. And Dunn is spelled D-U-N-N. So there's two N's there.
Right. It's Marbeth, which is a combination of Margaret Elizabeth, Marbeth, and Dunn, D-U-N-N.
All right. And of course, I'll have all that in the show notes. So not to worry, if you're listening somewhere, you'll be able to get that later. So thank you so much. This was a delightful conversation. And I think I know you have shared a lot of valuable information today that will help our listeners and viewers out there. So I appreciate you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you so much for having me here.
And in that spirit, I appreciate all of you for watching and for listening and just being a part of the Live, Love, Engage family. And I hope that if you're not subscribed for some reason, that you will subscribe on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. And we're all over the place, which is great. So I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whenever you're listening to this. And also, as I always like to do on my sign off, is to encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.